The voice of college football, breaking down the Sooners. We bring on Jason Ray on a regular basis to talk Oklahoma. You can catch his work at Last Word on College Football and, of course, right here at Mark Rogers TV. All right, let's move to the linebackers. And it looks to be stocked and loaded and just about everybody meaningful back.
It really is. I think Oklahoma's in a great position at linebacker. It was really a position of weakness a couple of years ago, specifically looking at the depth side. And Oklahoma has last year and then coming into this year that they have the unique opportunity to go, again, very much like the defensive line. They can go 2-3 deep and really not see a lot of drop off. Certainly, you have Nick Bonino at the rushing, as we talked about a little bit ago, who he'll be the returning starter there. Certainly, then you have Brian Asamoah, who was the team leader in tackles last year with 66, had 5.5 tackles for loss. You know, really did a good job in the middle half of that defense for Oklahoma. And then Deshaun White returns again as a starter at the linebacker position, really manning the middle. I think it'll be interesting to see one of the best position battles on the defensive side of the ball. At least the front seven, at least will be that middle linebacker position. Deshaun White was the starter. David Agwebu played a lot for Oklahoma last year. Their stats are very similar. They played about the same amount of time. As I mentioned, Deshaun White started. Agwebu is a little bit more suited for that middle linebacker position. He's a little heavier. He's more athletic. He's more in the mold of a Kenneth Murray than maybe Deshaun White is. So it'll be interesting to see how that battle kind of goes through the spring and through the fall on who both of those kids will play a lot, just depending on where they play and how much they play. You know, and a couple of guys just to kind of think about from Oklahoma's perspective. Caleb Kelly is really a kid that you just kind of root for to be successful. I believe this is his 6th season in Oklahoma coming up. So he had an ACL injury in the spring of 2019, played the final 4 games of 2019, didn't play more than 4, so he was able to get that medical red shirt to come back in 2020. Earlier in spring last year, tore his ACL again, the other ACL. So he's had 2 ACL surgeries in the last couple of years. You know, with the COVID, you know, protocols allowing him to come back again for his senior year, has come back this year. So it'll be interesting to see, you know, how he's able to move physically with both of those knee injuries, and then, you know, from a speed perspective, and then, you know, is he able to get on the field as much? He's one of those. And then a couple of other guys that played sparingly in their true freshman year, and I think, Mark, it kind of points to the quality depth that Oklahoma has had really at the linebacker position. So, you know, late in games, you would see a couple of guys, Brendan Walker and Shane Whittier, played a little bit more at the linebacker position. You know, in years past, you would see a very dramatic drop-off, you know, once you got into late game situations where you would see some of the depth, you know, or lack thereof, the point forward. And then you really just didn't see that last year at the linebacker position. There was a lot of quality depth there. So you didn't see a big drop off when a couple of those kids came out. So I think those 2 kids may not necessarily start or may not really challenge for a starting spot, but it'll be something that I think Grinch will not hesitate to put those kids in and rotate those linebackers and defensive linemen a bit more, you know, as he did. And one last name that I think Oklahoma fans probably would be interested in hearing. One of their best recruits, really the highest ranked recruit that they got outside of Caleb Williams, is Clayton Smith. He'll be the rush linebacker position. So I think last year his stats is really just kind of off the charts. In the highest level of Texas high school football, Texarkana, he had 94 tackles, 40 tackles for loss, 20 sacks. You know, so, you know, and again, stats can kind of be misleading, especially at the high school level based on the competition. But, you know, watching his video, his he pops off the tape, and he's at the position, Mark, where he'll probably be that rush linebacker position. He's in the spring. He gets to go through all the conditioning and just getting kind of acclimated to the culture at Oklahoma. So wouldn't be surprised to see him even make his way up to be the backup for Nick Benito at that rush linebacker end, because his position early on, I don't think that they're going to ask him to do a lot just in terms of reading from a defensive perspective. Really just kind of seal the end and go get the quarterback. I think it's going to be his niche. So it'll be interesting to see how quickly he's able to acclimate from a body strength perspective. Is he able to get on the field early on? But his high school numbers sure indicate that he does have the opportunity to get in early on.
Just about every other time that he gets a hold of somebody, he's throwing them down for negative yardage. So it's a dominant performance. There's no question about that.